to separate, right? We want to separate the good from the bad. We don't want, right? We've decided that the bad of the normal we don't want anymore.
Exactly.
We want the good. So, I think there's going to be so many changes that
it's inevitable.
I hope the better, for the better.
طيب, so let's dive into some of the questions. So we kind of covered your view of the world today, but we can maybe reflect a bit further if you feel like.
Oh my gosh. You know what? It's funny that you should ask that, but because I woke up this morning with an overwhelming feeling of fear. And I thought to myself, oh my, what did I eat? But no, it's like, I'm trying to stay away from the news. I mean, I want to be informed, but I don't, there's just so much going on, I find. And I'm talking from a Canadian perspective. Everybody is, I think we're all vulnerable.
Yeah.
And those with power are looking for that vulnerability and are trying to, position themselves to gain from that vulnerability. And, I don't like that. I don't like when people prey.
You're aware of it.
Absolutely, where they prey on people's fears. So I want to be informed, but I want to not be, paralyzed by fear. And I think there's a general sentiment here, in the country, in the province, in the city, and it's kind of infiltrating home environments. And I'm thinking, I'm not that kind of a person, so I don't want to, I'm really, really aware of being in the moment and trying to, be positive and looking at, the news for what it is and not what they want me to believe it is. I mean, I can't refrain from saying this, but really, not wearing a mask in public, there was a demonstration. People came out, really, we're not asking you for a kidney. We're asking you to wear a mask when you go out. Please. I mean, so, things like that irritate me. So I want to step back from that.
And there's so many news outlets. Like for me, I noticed it's everywhere. Like you go on Instagram, you go on Facebook, you go on Twitter, you go on email, you open the TV, it's everywhere. So it's like really being conscious about minimizing, getting the news. But, I was having conversations with one of my new teachers. I told you about her, Margaret Wheatley. I'm taking a course with her called Warriors for the Human Spirit.
No, but it sounds interesting.
I think, you will really connect with, you have so many things in common. So she's in the States, and she was telling me after 10 or after 11, because Adam has been so gaming a lot lately. And she's like, maybe you can just, for everyone, internet time. In the past when you had TV time, and now when internet time is okay, 11 p.m. So it gives everyone permission to just snuggle up and go get the book. Because I've been noticing that the last thing I do before I sleep is really Twitter or bad news. The other day I saw really a sad picture of a child. Really, it depressed me for a few days. I kept crying. And so anyways, I just thought of those ideas and how now it's very important to do them, to, as you said, be in the moment and be present and be of service to those people around me who need my energy and who need me in my best. So we haven't really done it, but Ahmed and I are kind of working on finding a way for the internet.
No, but it's very, it's on the one hand, I think we've come, the internet, when you have small kids, small kids, I was just going to say my husband. I thought, why don't you go play that? But never mind, I didn't say that. But, the thing is, it's a really good go-to when you need, right? So you're
Exactly.
grateful for that. However, now, right, there's so much interference again, right? It's the vulnerability of that time when the kids especially are on the internet, they're vulnerable. And it bothers me that whether it's advertisements or people, whatever, that play on that vulnerability. And kids have they've grown up with the internet, so at the beginning it wasn't like that. So I think they've internalized this. It's gradual, so they don't see it anymore. But I think it's I think it's dangerous in the sense that they've become desensitized, and again, it's all about the vulnerability and being, having people prey on that vulnerability. And oftentimes, teens, when do they, especially now, they don't have to get up at 6 a.m. to go to school.
Oh my God, this is driving me crazy. Exactly.
So at night, right? So they're in bed, they have the light, they're in this cocoon of technology. So it's, we need to readjust. We need to, refocus and do things differently, I think.
Yes.
With
Absolutely.
people, of course. But, Rosanna, what are we going to do to change the world? Tell me.
I don't know. That takes us to our second question, my dear. So what's your philosophy or approach to life?
Oh my. Well, I think, aging is such a gift. And I'm rereading this. Where is it? Let me show you. I'm rereading Betty Friedan. She wrote The Fountain of Age. I think this is like 79 or 80. I don't know. I don't know what year it was from. But, another thing is that I think we have to, for me personally, I want to enjoy aging. I don't want to see it as, again, we're talking about time. I want to extend it and enjoy it as much as possible. And I don't want to see aging as a diminishment, although, things will happen. I mean, the packaging is a bit, worn, shall we say.
Logistics evolve.
But I'm thinking I want to be of service. Right, I think, when you come to an age where you have this experience, and again, we're talking about time, I don't want it to go to waste. And, I'm thinking of ways that I can, package this experience and share it in a most positive and meaningful way as possible. Because what I've come to realize is that I've said this before, but I teaching, I think, right, when you teach, it gives you much more back than you have given. And I think, there are other ways of teaching. There are other ways of, I have not only in the family, but you know, whoever I meet, when I say teaching, I'm thinking about, you know, people might ask you for advice, or people who you meet just, you know, on, you know, at the market, or, you know, saying something nice, being positive, you know, enjoying your life regardless of all the, you know, things happen. C'est la
Yes.
vie, right?
Oui, oui,
So,
bien sûr.
oh, mais tu parles français,
Oui,
ma
un
chère.
peu.
Ah,
Comme c'est comme
but,
ça.
you know, ben, c'est très bien, ma chère.
Merci beaucoup. And you know, it reminded me, we didn't really like properly introduce, but I want to really say, like, Dr. Anastasia has been one of the most influential people in my life to choose teaching as a career. And it was the biggest gift that you were in Saudi, 2001, right? 2002.
No, 2001.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So it was my first year of college. And so we've, you know, now, you know, you're a mentor, a friend, a colleague, everything, you name it. And author, what else? I want to say everything. You want to add? How would you like to add
You
to
know,
that?
I want to add to that, in that, again, you know, it comes back. I said, you know, I'd like to give because you get back. And so, you know, when I left McGill to go to Saudi, people thought I had fallen, right? That I got maybe struck by lightning. It affected my reasoning. But, you know, it was the most enriching experience of my life. I met, right? I've said this 100 times, and I'll repeat it another 100 times. But, you know, the students at IFAT gave me back so much more than I could have ever wished to have shared with them. So, you know, but that's you know, I think a meaningful and joyful, and, you know, living in harmony, that's, you know, that's what it is. That's what it is. It's looking for, you know, the best, I think, in people.
Yeah.
And if you can't find it, avoid, right? Avoid, you know, toxic relationships, toxic people. Give them a chance, you know, before
Yes.
you find out they're toxic. But, you know, you don't want to harm them, but you want to save yourself and move in another direction. So what was your question, Rosanna?
It was your philosophy or your secret doctrine.
I want to be good.
Yes.
I want to be a good person. And I want, again, time, because we only have so much of it, and we don't know when, you know, our cup will be full. So, you know, I'd like, you think, you know, how would I like to be remembered?
Wow.
Because, right, remembered is putting memories together. And it would pain me to think that, you know, people would remember me as, oh my gosh, she was such a this, or, oh, she made me feel so bad, or I wouldn't like that, you know. I would like, you know, to be remembered, especially by my family and my kids, as a role model, as maybe they can laugh about quirky things, that's okay, but
yeah,
you know,
I was remembering like when I first when you were teaching us at Affat, and like the impact you had on us was like, is she for real? Because you were teaching us what you were also embodying, and to me that was like kind of not really the case with a lot of teachers or people. And you know, I remember like one day you were, I don't know, talking about something, and you were like mentioning how much laundry you have, and I was like, that's amazing, like she's real. She makes, like, you know, sometimes you put people on a pedestal and then you forget that they do normal life things. And so that was really those moments that I remember, like your openness to, you know, you know, the music, the hookah, the bazaars, all of this was really like the human teacher, you know. And sometimes I feel like we go into the role, we forget that there's the human behind the role. So,
but it's very, you know, in you know, one of the reasons actually that I did a PhD was because, you know, when I was in the classroom, I found that there was something wrong. There was I love teaching, but I was not happy. And I couldn't figure out what the disconnect was, what the dissonance was. And so I went back thinking, I'll figure it out. I need to find out, right? I need to readjust my spine because there must be something, right, that is missing with me. But then, you know, and even within, I'm sure I've told you this before, and I wrote about it.
Yes, I read it in the book. Yes.
And teachers suffer from this because I think, you know, of the institution that is education and what the expectations of the parents are. And so this box, right, that we teach from, it's difficult to move ahead because when things get sticky, when things get difficult, we fall back on what we know. And what we know is a traditional way of thinking,
Exactly.
you know, exams, the this, the that, memorization, whatever. So it's really, really difficult
Sure.
to change. And so, you know, we have so many bitter teachers teaching.
Yes.
And it's detrimental to the classroom environment, detrimental to the students. And so all that to say is, you know, whether it's in education, whether it's in the classroom, whether it's in the bedroom, whether it's, you know, whether it's in, you know,
corporate
in
or yes,
you know, not allowing people to be the best that they can be, you know, harms everyone.
everybody.
And again, it's a waste, total waste of potential.
Yeah.
Total
And I
waste
loved what you said last time on IGTV, that how can empathy ever be wrong? How can compassion ever be wrong? Or, you know, be having more of that, or having more of humanizing can ever go wrong or be wrong. So I feel like even when I read about the award for your doctorate, and I read the book, The Female Artist in Academia, I really felt that you disrupted the whole, like the way you tackled it was in a very different way. You were asking the questions that were not asked, and having the conversations that needed to happen, and no one was daring enough, or just talking about them in academia, as a woman, as a mother, as a wife. What are we bringing to the table? And just kind of saying, okay, let's have this conversation, let's talk about this. And I felt it's like, in Arabic we call it السهل الممتنع. It's like the simple, obvious, common sense, but that no one is doing, or no one is having the courage to do. But everyone sees and everyone knows, and everyone like doesn't want to talk about it. So it's like, yeah, it was very courageous.
Right, and there's always a price to pay.
Because there's a risk.
There's always a price to pay, but there's always a reward too.
Yes.
Because the price might be, you know, might be a job. The price might be, you know, a better salary. The price, but the reward is, you know, is yourself. You know, your integrity,
yes,
your authenticity, and you know that is so fulfilling.
yes,
and much more so than, you know, than the money or the
status,
and again,
or
it's, you know, you know, I'm working with someone who's having it's a sad situation, because, and you see this so often in corporations and offices, is right, when you know, when someone in authority, someone who has power, uses that power in such a negative way to kind of undress your integrity. And I find that, you know, I find that so, I find it mean and dishonest. But, you know, again, we're talking about productivity. You need to produce, you know, you're always, you know, available.
Yes.
So I think there's a lot of rhetoric about, oh, you know, again, the word happiness. It's used so much, it doesn't mean anything anymore. It's lost its essence, it's lost its meaning. So, you know, the rhetoric is there, but the infrastructure to ensure that, you know, it's happening isn't there. It's all window dressing.
Absolutely.
And that's, I find, you know, counterproductive. But what can we do, my dear?
Yes.
What can
so
we do?
how did the reading and understanding of history contribute in being who you are today?
Oh my gosh, you know. Well, one thing that took me a long time to realize, I think when we're, and I talked about this often to my students, is that if you don't tell your story, someone else will, and it will be from their perspective. So you lose, right? You lose your power, you lose your voice. And so when you think about history, you know, you realize that there's the stories that have been spoken are often those of the people in power. And so those who have been silenced is, you know, it's really difficult to go back and figure out, especially, you know, we know the situation for women and their lives, and how, you know, anything that had to do with the home was like,
who cares?
Right? Who cares? It wasn't really important, right? It was the public world that was much more important. Well, of course, things have changed, thank God, but not enough still, right? Where we go 3 steps ahead and then 4 steps backward. So we need to make leaps now. But look at, you know, women in Saudi. I was always so impressed with, you know, determination, regardless of, you know, the obstacles. There was always a way around, right? The challenge was, how do I figure out how to do this? And so
exactly.
So, you know, again, history to me now is, you know, is we realize, okay, people who are in power have the loudest voices. So I think we need to look around and look at, you know, try and find different voices, offer opportunities to hear different stories. And I know your sister, you know, at Fatma's, she's, well, I was going to say she's loud, but not in that sense loud. I mean, she's, right, she's a powerful image. And I think, you know,
her book is supposed to be coming out really soon, with all the stories that she gathered, and she's written introductions to the chapters. Some of it I'm part of. I just signed something that, you know, she mentioned me in a few parts, which was great, you know.
But look, I mean, even you, Rosanna, you know, you're looking at, you know, other people, you're interviewing, but you've accomplished so much.
Yes.
I mean,
and I'm very thankful. I mean, I'm really thankful. Yes.
Right?
I'm grateful to the women that were around growing up, really. Like, I've had, I'm very, very grateful for having a lot of role models, all kinds of women, characters, personalities that were really impactful and very authentic, around me growing up, and gave me that permission to be, and permission to find my voice, and still, be in that process. So, yeah.
And I think, oftentimes I don't give enough credit to men.
Yeah, I was going to say, even the men, like, alhamdulillah, even the men, so grateful.
Right?
My grandparents, my husband, my father, my brothers, alhamdulillah, super. And my sons, of course, and colleagues, Marwan and Arif, were also with me in the project. We're all like, we help each other, and it's an interdependent system.
Right. That's one, remember, I used to say this, right? The F word, right? I use the F word in class. Not the F, but
yes.
Right? I would say like feminism, but again, feminism is not, it's right. It's the love of people. It's justice. It's being fair for all.
Exactly.
And so you have, a husband, a father, examples of feminists, of men who support women, who support, mothers, who support, female empowerment. So again, so many years later, the word feminist still, brings up bad taste in so many people's mouth. Young women today will say, well, yeah, but I'm not a feminist. Really? How can you not be a feminist? I don't understand.
Because it's been, I feel, given a different light, and branded in a different way. And I think it not damaged its reputation, but it gave the word some injustice because of how some people were embodying it or using it to explain or show certain qualities or actions. I was reading Melinda Gates' book, The Moment of Lift, and she was also saying that when she was in her beginning of her journey, she wasn't a feminist. She never identified as a feminist, but now she's like, of course I'm a feminist. So even like with the word feminist, we go through like an evolution, or we learn about it through our own stories and who we're becoming.
But to go back to history, and that's it, because the word was turned on itself by people who used it against the movement, let's say.
Exactly.
So these people who used it in that way were people who had power, because the women did not have power. So again, it's all about stories.
Yes.
And whose story will be told, and whose story will be shared, and which one do we value? And I can't believe that we don't trust science. Is one thing. It's good to be it's good to look at different perspectives, of course, but to dismiss science, right? And to listen to, I'm looking for words that probably don't exist yet for, a lot of the things that are going on. But, I feel sorry as well for that, for young people who are, again, influenced by, stories on the internet that, this, here, Bill Gates and conspiracy and all this. Anyways, whatever. Let's not get into that.
Exactly.
But
oh my God, so much is happening.
Again, that's it. Yeah, so much is happening.
So the last question is, from your own perspective, how do you envision the near and far future?
Oh, well, I cannot say, when I say the near future, we started off by, I was asking myself, what have I not done? to date that I wish that I could have done, because I'm thinking, okay, what if in 20 years from now, what will I regret not have done? And I think I think I wrote this to you, is we've talked about Greece and the home in Greece for years. And, my parents were immigrants to Canada, so they were very much involved in assuring that we became Canadians. So, that we would integrate that. So part of my Greekness kind of, was diluted, I would say, for a number of reasons. And, and I didn't marry a Greek, oh my gosh, to my mother's. What? No Greek? There's so many Greek men out there. What's going on?
Of course.
But then she loved him. And oh my gosh, I loved him. But all that to say that for a number of reasons, right? I wasn't as Greek, I think, as I could have been. And I see this as a loss. However, for me, it's something that I really, really want my grandchildren and my children to experience. And so, as a family project, we've decided to, okay, we're starting to renovate the house.
Yes, the last email, it was so amazing. Alhamdulillah.
It will be our, the family vacation home, open to, whoever can, whoever has the privilege to visit Greece. And oh my gosh, I think I've never been as Greek as I am now. So,
wow.
So, again,
I'd love to visit. I've never been to Greece, by the way. So inshallah, it's on my list.
Visit the world, keep Greece for last, because if you do it at the beginning, it'll spoil you for the rest. You'll always compare the rest of the world to Greece. And I'm not saying it because I'm Greek, of course.
I mean, and also the civilization, the culture, the whole, I mean, the weather, the geography, I feel it's, I got a gift from there and it really spoiled me, because now it's like the olive oil that I got was like something else. And now whenever someone goes to Greece, I have to order this. And it's like, Zana, it's embarrassing. Stop asking people for the olive oil. I can just have it with bread alone. It's something else.
No, it's true. I mean, Greek olive oil is like, I'm thinking, what? Who does not have Greek olive oil? To me, it's like, what?
It's like, exactly. It was amazing. But remember, you reminded me in the email when you also asked me about my dream. Until now, this is like an inquiry I took, and I'm still like, oh my God, such a big question. But yeah, I feel I don't have something clear, but it has to do, I think, with family and something about story, owning story or doing something, but also with legacy, and really thinking about that, or reflecting on that.
It's that's all we really have is story. And I think I wrote this, I don't know whether it was in the book or elsewhere, but I truly believe, and this I think comes from the Saudi experience, that memory is genetic. It's it's in our DNA. It's cellular, in the sense that my grandmother's experiences have impacted, right, have affected me at the cellular level. And so, when I went to Saudi, it was so different from anything. I always say it's like going to the moon, especially it was right after 9/11.
Yes.
And it's you know, it was, I didn't, it's funny to think back at that time, but there was no, you know, I remember when I was thinking, okay, I need to find out about Saudi. There was not, there was no internet. There was, how could I find out? There was not much that I had at hand to find out about Saudi. So, but, you know, I was teaching in the States, and though I loved my job, I never felt at home. And I mean, you know, we're right next door to the States. But when I got to Saudi, from the moment I got off the plane, I had a sense of belonging, a sense of place, a sense of recognition. There was, you know, I wasn't fearful. You know, it was a very, very interesting feeling. And to me, it was probably, you know, my grandparents,
the Mediterranean, yes.
And my grandparents lived, you know, came from Turkey, all there, right, for 400 years. Their family were from that part of the world. So I think, you know, instinctively, I felt that connection. And I think, you know, when you're talking about memory and legacy, and what greater gift, right, can you leave your children? How would you like to be remembered? What would you like to, you know, for your kids to say when they talk about you?
Gosh.
Because we will leave an imprint.
What?
I said we'll leave,
yes,
something.
I feel like it's a combination of what I took away from, let's say, my grandfathers, both of them when they passed away, and now remembering the funny moments when they were like in their authentic but also eccentric or idiosyncrasies, also very kind. It's that richness of really being you and engaging with the world around you and giving your all.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like in those moments these days, especially, like it's staying as memory. And I know we're not traveling these days, but it's still feeling as if we were transported into like a different era. So this is what I would like. And it's, but now even like when you know, being around my parents, I'm also really savoring these moments with them. The other day we were at dinner and my dad decided to order for the first time edamame. So I think he asked the waiter because there was something about eating it. Anyways, it cracked me up and we had this conversation and it was so funny. So these moments that come up is really something that I'm savoring and staying with.
But again, you know, if you're talking about legacy, if you're talking about memory, if you're talking about time, you're talking about story, right? There are different layers, right? They're your parents, your grandparents, and that's, you know, I'm so blessed. I'm so blessed to have, you know, amazing grandchildren. I mean, I'm thinking like how lucky can you be, right?
They're beautiful blessed, and they have a lot from you.
But you know, I really, when you talk about your grandparents and you say their quirkiness, sometimes, you know, again, we fall, as parents, we fall back into the role that we imagine parents should be.
Exactly.
And so we tend maybe not to show our quirkiness, and to be like less authentic, to be more authoritative or whatever we imagine we're supposed to be as parents. But as grandparents, all that goes out the window, my dear. And right, and it's your right, and so you can be whoever
you wish to be.
And you know, that's it's such a blessing and such a gift of time, to be able to enjoy, right? To enjoy another layer of time and life and family with the grandchildren. I feel so blessed.
Absolutely, especially with the different generations. Like my grandmother now with my children is just another dynamic. Like they know her soft spots. There's like a language they have, and it's so beautiful to witness that and to be part of it. So
right, what a wonderful gift for your children, for your grandmother. It's I mean, it's amazing. But and you have, I mean, you have such wonderful women in your family. It's a true blessing, my dear.
thank you so much.
And you're just one in a line of many.
Yeah, and you know, it's fun now that, you know, after the lockdown, it's really nice to be together in the same physical space and just to be together and just to, you know, have a cup of coffee or just, you know, share thoughts and have this like this conversation about anything. So yeah.
No, and you know, and to be healthy.
Yes.
Right. To be healthy is right. It's another gift, and we're also very blessed to live in a time where, you know, we have medications, we have access to so much that, you know, eases our pain, both physically and, you know, psychologically. So we're good to go, my dear.
We are. So let's end on that. I love it. And thank you so much. I enjoyed every minute and I can't wait to share it with the team.
Rosanna, you know, I love you. I respect you. You're an extraordinary woman. It's always a privilege to talk to you. And mashallah, my dear, happy Eid.
Thank you.
Eid
yes.
Mubarak.
Shukran. Yeah, thank you so much. I'm excited. So, we're going to the cinema. And we're going to see a movie. It's a Saudi movie and funded by the Ministry of Culture. And it was about the story of boys in a government school in 1998. So I cannot wait to go and watch it. I've heard amazing reviews. And it's just, yeah, I'm excited.
There you go, my dear. You see, look, what a wonderful example of Saudis telling their own story. How important
at last
it is. At last, right? Oh my gosh. Well, so okay, my dear.
And that year for me was very important. That's the year I met Ahmed. So anyways, it's, you know, there's a symbology for 1998 in specific. All right, I'll just turn off the recording and thank you so much.
Thank you, my dear. God bless.
Okay. Stop.